Hello everyone, welcome to a new session, and today here with me is Ananya from Team Vallat.
Hello everyone.
Okay, so what are we doing today, Ananya?
We will do Tamil Nadu set and this is day 7. So we have done 6 videos on this before. If you haven't seen it, do watch them. And let's start today's practice.
Yeah, so I will just start sharing my screen. All right. So today we are doing Tamil Nadu set crash course, and here we are today at day 7. Okay, so let's move on to our first question. Yeah.
The Victorian compromise was a term coined by Dash to express the mental and political contradiction of the times. Is it G.K. Chesterton, Charles Dickens, Matthew Arnold, or Thomas Carlyle? You have to tell who has coined the term Victorian compromise.
Okay. So this term Victorian compromise, it was coined by none other than G.K. Chesterton to express the mental and political contradiction of the times, what we famously call as Victorian dilemma, the religious skepticism, the political skepticism, right, which was widely prevalent during the contemporary times. And to express that dilemma, G.K. Chesterton called it the Victorian compromise. Okay, next question.
The journal started by the Pre-Raphaelites to promote their ideals was Dash. Is it the Germ, the Rambler, the Tatler, or the London Chronicle? I have to tell which journal was started by Pre-Raphaelites to promote their ideals.
Okay, so it was the Germ. The Germ. It was the journal of the Pre-Raphaelites. Let me first tell you the full title of this journal. So the Germ, Thoughts Towards Nature in Art and Literature. So it was a periodical established by the Pre-Raphaelite brotherhood to disseminate their ideas. This magazine was edited by William Michael Rossetti. The Germ was renamed Art and Poetry, being thoughts towards nature, conducted principally by artists. So it was renamed later for its last 2 issues. So for its last 2 issues, the Germ was renamed. It was not a success, only surviving for 4 issues between January and April 1850. All right. Okay. Next question. Yeah.
Tom Jones by Fielding was published in Dash. Is it 1704, 1714, 1740, or 1749? Tom Jones by Henry Fielding, you have to tell which year was it published in.
Okay. So Tom Jones, or if you learn the full title, which is very important for any exam, The History of Tom Jones, a Foundling, often simply known as Tom Jones, is a comic novel by Henry Fielding, and it is a Bildungsroman and a picaresque novel. And it was first published on 28 February 1749 in London, and it is among the earliest English works to be classified as a novel. It is the earliest novel mentioned by Somerset Maugham in his 1948 book, Great Novelists and Their Novels, among the 10 best novels of the world. All right, so when we're studying about a particular novel, it's not only essential to know about the novel, but to also know about the various popular criticisms which have been made about a particular work, right? Okay, and again, the chronology is very important.
Emotions, but an emotion. It is not expression of personality, but who said so? Is this Matthew Arnold, I.A. Richards, T.S. Eliot, Northrop Frye?
So T.S. Eliot, in his very popular essay, Tradition and the Individual Talent, which was published in 1919, in that essay, he had made this famous statement that poetry is not a turning loose of emotion, but an escape from emotion. It is not expression of personality, but an escape from personality. And hence, his theory of impersonality in poetry. So in this essay, Traditional Individual Talent, he has not only talked about the historical sense, about the influence of the ancestor poets over the predecessors, but he has also talked about this very important theory of impersonality in poetry. Tradition and the Individual Talent, 1919. Do look up his essays of T.S. Eliot. Okay, next.
Charles Oliver Twist began to appear in monthly numbers in dash. Is it Bentley's Miscellany, the Monthly Repository, Youth's Magazine, or Sunday Dispatch? You have to tell Charles Dickens' novel Oliver Twist. It began to appear in which monthly numbers?
Okay, so Oliver Twist or the Parish Boy's Progress, it was the second novel of Dickens, and it was serialized in Bentley's Miscellany. It was serialized in Bentley's Miscellany. Okay. Oliver Twist or the Parish Boy's Progress, the complete title. Next.
The founder editor of the periodical The Examiner was dash. Now, was it Walter Peter, William Hazlitt, Leigh Hunt, or Thomas De Quincey, the founder editor of the periodical The Examiner?
So it is Leigh Hunt. James Henry Leigh Hunt, popularly known as Leigh Hunt, was an English critic, essayist, and poet. And Leigh Hunt had co-founded The Examiner, a leading intellectual journal expounding radical principles. He was the center of the Hampstead-based group that included Hazlitt and Lamb, and it was known as the Hunt Circle. Hunt also introduced Keats, Shelley, Robert Browning, and Alfred Tennyson to the public. And he was also the co-founder of this periodical, The Examiner. Okay.
Krishna Gatha in Malayalam is attributed to dash. Is it Thunchatu Ezhutachan, Cherusiri Namboothiri, Unnai Warrior, or Madhava Panikkar? The Krishna Gatha in Malayalam is attributed to whom?
Okay. So again, it's very important to know about the Indian works, not only the contemporary ones, but also the works of Sanskrit literature. Okay. So Krishna Gatha is a 15th century poem written in Malayalam language. It is also known as Krishna Pattu. It belongs to the poetic form Gatha, and the author of this poem is believed to be Cheruseri Namboothiri, who lived in Cheruseri near Vatakara in Kerala, India. And this Krishna Gatha obviously deals with the story of Krishna. Krishna Gatha by Cheruseri Namboothiri. Do look up these ancient works as well. Okay, next.
Barthes considered novels such as those by George Eliot and Arnold Bennett dash and those by Joyce of Faulkner to be dash. Is it lisable, lisable scriptable, risable scriptable, reasonable surreal, or respectable soporific? You have to fill in the blanks.
So Roland Barthes had famously made this distinction of readerly and writerly texts, right? And he considered novels such as those by George Eliot and Arnold Bennett as readerly texts, texts which are close-ended, where the readers don't have to creatively participate in meaning making. And on the other hand, he believed there are novels by James Joyce, Faulkner, and their novels are writerly texts, where the readers, along with the authors, participate equally in the meaning making. And these novels are open-ended. The end is left for the readers to imagine. It's open-ended, and the readers are left to imagine that what might be the ending. It's not close-ended, right? And this creates the distinction between the readerly and writerly texts of Roland Barthes. And Roland Barthes made this distinction in his very popular text, S bar Z. And in this text only, Roland Barthes had talked about the very popular text of Balzac, Saracen. Remember? S bar Z by Roland Barthes. And here only he had made the distinction between readerly and writerly texts. Okay, next.
In Monica Ali's Brick Lane, which among the following characters has a face like a frog? Is it Nazim, Chanu, Hasina, or Karim?
So Monica Ali's Brick Lane is a very popular novel we all know about. Here, Chanu, or Chanu you can also pronounce. Chanu is the character whose face is like a frog. And he is actually the husband of the protagonist, Nazneen. So Chanu has a face like frog. Monica Ali's Brick Lane, it's a very popular novel. Okay. Monica Ali has also written other novels which are quite popular, like Love Marriage, Alan Tejo Blue, Untold Story, In the Kitchen. He also wrote Refugee Tales. So do look up the other works of Monica Ali as well. Okay. So before we proceed, I would just like to remind you all that at Vallat from 28th April onwards, we are starting a certificate course on digital humanities, and the resource person will be Dr. Ashijit Datta. He is an assistant professor at the Department of Liberal Arts of SRM University of Andhra Pradesh. And here the overarching theme of this lecture series is decoding the digital human in digital humanities. It's going to be a series of 4 lectures starting from 28th April onwards. And if you join, you will get the recorded lectures as well, and you will have lifetime access. So the registration has already started. If you haven't enrolled yet, please do. The fee will be only ₹1,000, and there's the phone number on the screen where you can contact and get enrolled accordingly. All right.
The current poet laureate of the United Kingdom is Dash. Is it Sir John Benjamin Zephaniah, Simon Armitage, or Carol Ann Duffy? You have to tell who's the current poet laureate of UK.
Okay, so it is Simon Armitage. Simon Armitage is an English poet, playwright, musician, and novelist. He was appointed Poet Laureate on 10th May 2019, and he is the current Poet Laureate. He's also the Professor of Poetry at the University of Leeds. Okay. Next.
Whose critical observation is, quote, Shakespeare has no heroes. His scenes are occupied only by men. Is this Coleridge, Dr. Johnson, Ben Jonson, or John Dryden? You have to tell who has critically observed that Shakespeare has no heroes. His scenes are occupied only by men.
So it was very popular critic and poet, Dr. Johnson, Samuel Johnson, who made this critical observation on Shakespeare. Okay, next.
The formalist critic Dash mocked the character-based criticism of Dash by posing a famous question: how many children had Lady Macbeth? Now, is it F.R. Lewis, E.K. Chambers, or Clement Brooks, F.L. Lucas, or Monroe Beardsley and Kenneth Burke, or Elsie Knight's A.C. Bradley? You have to choose according to fill in the blanks.
So here the formalist critique Elsie Knights mocked the character-based criticism of A.C. Bradley by posing a famous question, and this question is also the title of his essay. You can see here the cover picture. How many children had Lady Macbeth? Right? So Elsie Knights, through his very famous essay, you can see the picture. How many children had Lady Macbeth? So through this essay, The Formalist Critique, Elsie Knights mocked the character-based criticism of another critique of Shakespeare, that is A.C. Bradley. Clear? Okay. And you can please read the subtitles to gain a proper idea. An essay in the theory and practice of Shakespearean criticism by Elsie Knights. Elsie Knights is a very popular critique, like A.C. Bradley. So do look up their essays, their works. It's going to be very important. Okay, next.
According to the Italian Marxist theorist Antonio Gramsci, hegemony is synonymous with domination, or hegemony involves a degree of consent on the part of subject people, or hegemony involves a degree of coercion on the part of a dominant political entity, or hegemony is synonymous with subjugation.
So Antonio Gramsci is a very popular Italian Marxist critique who talked about this idea of hegemony in his prison notebooks. And according to him, hegemony involves a degree of consent on the part of the subject people. And that's what you also can call as interpellation, according to Louis Althusser, where the subjects are manipulated to give their consent, right? Interpellation, according to Louis Althusser. So according to Antonio Gramsci, hegemony involves a degree of consent on the part of subject people, because an empire or a nation state cannot run solely on the basis of coercion. The nation will collapse or the empire will collapse. Only coercion cannot be the sole method. That's why hegemony. It's a strategy where people are manipulated to give their consent. That's why hegemony involves a degree of consent on the part of the subjects. Okay. Next.
What is the setting of An Outcast of the Islands by Conrad? Is this Dublin, Mexico, Malay, or Italy? The setting of An Outcast of the Islands by Joseph Conrad.
So, An Outcast of the Islands is the second novel by Joseph Conrad, published in 1896. And this novel was inspired by Conrad's experience as a mate of a steamer, the Vidar. And this novel has the setting of Malay. This novel has the setting of Malay. Please do look up all of his novels, starting from Almayer's Folly. They're very, very important. Okay? From Almayer's Folly till The Rover. It was his last novel. Do look up all of his novels, characters, chronology, settings. Very important. Next.
The authors of The Meaning of Meaning are dash. Is it Christopher Caldwell, I.A. Richards, I.A. Richards and C.K. Ogden, or Christopher Caldwell and Helena Sheehan? You have to tell who are the authors of The Meaning of Meaning.
Okay. The Meaning of Meaning, a study of the influence of language upon thought and the science of symbolism, is a book by I.A. Richards and C.K. Ogden. Yeah. So, The Meaning of Meaning, a study of the influence of language upon thought and the science of symbolism. It's a book by I.A. Richards and C.K. Ogden. Okay. Next.
The Redress of Poetry is a collection of Oxford lectures by dash. Is it Thomas Heaney, Christopher Ricks, or Paul Muller? The Redress of Poetry. This is a collection of Oxford.
Okay. So, The Redress of Poetry. It's a collection of Oxford lectures by Seamus Heaney. Seamus Heaney. So, Heaney's 10 lectures as professor of poetry at Oxford have been collected in this collection, The Redress of Poetry. And this collection explores the poetry of a wide range of writers, from Christopher Marlowe to John Clare to Oscar Wilde. All right, so these are the poets who have been talked about. So do look up the poets, all the poets who have been talked about, which works have been focused upon in this collection, right? And this collection has 10 lectures, which Seamus Heaney delivered as professor of poetry at Oxford. All right? Okay. Next.
The Sense of Movement is a work by Dash. Is it by Philip Larkin, Ted Hughes, T.J. Enright, or Tom Gunn? The Sense of Movement is a work by either of the following writers.
Yeah. So, okay. The Sense of Movement is a work by Tom Gunn. So, it is the second collection of Tom Gunn, and it was first published in 1957. And here in this collection, we can see some of the really interesting pieces that Tom Gunn wrote. Okay, and it was published in 1957. The Sense of Movement, very important work by the movement poet, Tom Gunn. Okay, next. Okay, so before we wrap up, I just want to remind you all that from 28th April onwards at Vallat, we will be having a certificate course on digital humanities, where the resource person will be Dr. Ashishji Datta. He's from SRM University of Andhra Pradesh. And here we'll be talking about decoding the digital human in digital humanities. The fee will be only ₹1,000. And there's a number on the screen where you can contact for your further queries and get enrolled accordingly. Right, so that's all for tonight. So Nana, shall we wrap up?
Yes, I hope it was good practice for all of you. Keep practicing and take down the new notes that you have gotten today. Read more about them. Good night.
Yes. And if you like the video, please do hit the like button and share this video with your friends. And we will see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow there will be a paper 1 class by Jobin sir. So do join tomorrow as well. And take care. Keep studying. See you all again next day.